All right, so enough about me. Let's go ahead and dive in. So the first question that you want to ask yourself is the who. So who do you think you're talking to? Who's that perfect prospect, that perfect, what's the 80-20 rule? Who's the person that's going to come and do business with you? What do they look like? So we want to know their age. We want to know where they are in their life according to their age. We could talk about generation, but that gets a little bit hairy because I don't know, my generation, when I was in my 20s to now when I'm in my 30s, I'm in the same generation, but I'm different, right? So age really matters. And the gender, so, men are like waffles, women are like spaghetti, but Mars, Venus, that whole thing. So depending on who you're talking to and what gender they are, it does really matter how they want to be engaged with. The relationship status, are they married? Do they want to be married? Are they divorced? That's a whole new category of business. And occupation, what do they do? Are they white collar? Are they blue collar? Are they primarily administration? Are they labor? Do they like to work with their hands? That depends on their personality. Household income. And a lot of this stuff might be something that you've already kind of thought about here and there and kind of understand that you need to understand these things. But if you put it all together, it really makes a difference. So household income, your product versus somebody else's product and the price point of it determines how you're speaking to that person and whether it's going to apply to their life and if they're going to engage with your product. Family. So do they have kids? Do they want to have kids? Do they have one on the way? Are they a growing family? Family here also is interesting in the way of baby boomers are all now 55 plus, and they're taking care of their parents. So that's another aspect of talking about family that is very significant right now. Goals, dreams, desires, wishes, we all may not be Harley Davidson riders, but do we want to be? Maybe. So do they have a wish or desire to travel? Do they want to own something? Do they really like lakefront property? Those are things that you can tap into too. And how do they like to be recruited or sold? Do they like to be engaged with on a face-to-face level, which is kind of sometimes hard right now? Would they rather do their research online and look you up on your website and get more information, do their own research? Do they want to talk to a real life person on the phone? Or do they want to visit you in person? So that's important to know how they like to be recruited. What's their style of communication and engagement? And then what pain are they and what problem can you solve? We're going to talk a little bit about this in the next slide. So I'm not going to go into too much detail here on that. And then name them. Give them a name. And this may sound really weird, but I'm going to go through some examples as like what that means and what that looks like in future conversations with your team or your company. It has to do with the product you're selling and the department you're selling. If you have different products, different strokes for different folks, and you're the umbrella of them, you could have a couple of different perfect prospects and profiles with different names, and then address your marketing as such. So here's some examples. We have WAOW News 9, or we did this a long time ago. The newsroom did this. And they painted a picture of the person that's most likely watching, the most loyal viewer of our television station. And it just happens to coincide with the person who does a lot of the purchasing or the decision making in the house. And that's a female who's in her 30s, mid to upper 30s, has 3 kids. She went to school, UW-Stevens Point. She lives in Marathon County with her husband, who works in the industrial park in Marathon County. And her name is Lori Dorowski. So how does News 9 use this? Every morning at 9 o'clock, they have a meeting and they talk about, well, what stories are we going to cover today? Who are we going to go interview? And all the reporters need to come to the table with a little bit of an idea, or they kind of look at what's going on with the AP wire and they come up with the stories. But the first thing that they need to ask themselves is, does Lori care? Because we know that's who we're talking to. That's the majority. That's the female head of household. Who, by the way, 66% of the time is the one that decides on all the things that are purchased for the home, what brand of Kleenex, what brand of dishwasher detergent, and where they're going to go for doctor visits and who they're going to hire for their home improvement projects. So her name is Lori, and that's how the news team uses that. State College of Beauty Culture, I sat down with their entire staff and we went through this. It takes a while because you want to be all things to all people all the time, but it's really important to whittle that down to that person that's most likely to do business with you. So for State College of Beauty Culture, it was a female. She's 18 to 21, maybe 25. And she's not really sure what she wants to do and what business, or if she wants to go to a traditional school or a two-year school or university. Not really sure what kind of job that she's wanting, but she's got this creativeness in her that she just can't ignore. And she's got an entrepreneurial spirit. She wants to work for herself, flexible schedule, and her name is Abby with an I. Very specific. Okay, Valley Communities Credit Union, they came out with a branding campaign last year that talked about a new home loan that was very accessible and attainable for young home buyers. And so they painted the picture of a couple that maybe are renting and want to purchase a home. They're freshly married, or maybe they're engaged. Child on the way, maybe they already have one and they need to get into a large home because they have another one on the way. And their names are Heidi and Derek. Okay, so just a little bit of examples on that. Any questions on that? Make sense? So solve the problem. This is the what. This is the creative message building block. So you know who you're talking to, you know how they like to be spoken with, and their interests are, but what problem do they have that you can solve? And why does that, so what do you do best and why does that matter? What are you going to solve for them? So these are very specific things that you can tap into. So all these bullet points are going to be things that you could tap into and answer the question. So what do you do that no one else in your category does? So if you're a brewing company, I'm going to pick on Sarah, right? Pick on Sarah in the room for a little bit. So if you're a brewing company and there's other craft brewing companies in the area or in central Wisconsin, what are you going to bring to the table that nobody else is going to do? And maybe you don't want to share your secret sauce, but I think we talked a little bit about it. You can share if you'd like, otherwise I can move on.
No, we'll bring the outdoors indoors.
I like it. Write that down. So, so talk about something that you bring to the table that nobody else is doing currently in your category of business, and share it with the people that want to hear that message. What can you claim that no one else hasn't claimed or isn't claiming or hasn't yet? So I might use this a couple of times, but it's all about unique selling proposition, right? And if you've dived into marketing at all, you've heard U.S.P, you've heard about, is it selection? Do you have the most of something? Do you have a low price point that's going to hit that perfect price right between the eyeballs and say, well, darn it, I got to go get it now because the price is right? So what can you claim that no one else has claimed yet? Think about you're the only person that will pick up the phone in your category of business any time of the day. I don't know, I'm throwing some stuff out there. Maybe need more coffee, maybe more creative. What special skill do you possess that nobody else has? Are you the best installer, most certified installer of something? Do you have a guarantee of your workmanship because you're so certified in it? So a special skill you possess. What's the piece of equipment do you have that no one else in your competition has? So for example, when I worked for that cabinet manufacturer, they built aluminum cabinets, and they had this piece of equipment called the Salvagnini, I think it's from Germany. And it took a flat piece of aluminum through the machine in 30 seconds, folded it up into a drawer, which used to take 30 minutes on a brake press. So the equipment provided an efficient production model that provided a timely delivery service. So you can get it quicker and with more efficiencies in the delivery process and production, more accuracy because the machine was very accurate, less human error than anyone else in the market or anybody else that makes cabinets. So that was something that he could talk about. What line do you carry exclusively? So I like to talk about neighbors on this one because Neighbors Fine Furniture has the stress list or the Acronis furniture. And it's a luxury furniture that's ergonomically correct, and they're the only ones that can sell that. They've got kind of the foothold on that specific product. And this is another place where if you have a specific product that nobody else in the market has, you might be able to leverage some co-op advertising dollars on that from the vendor. So something to think about. If you don't know what that is, you have the contact info. So what's your singular focus? I talked about the U.S.P. Who here and on Zoom, and I wish there was like a hand raise or something, that you has seen a commercial or heard something or had an impression, and there was just this laundry list. I mean, it literally looks like a bullet list of all the things that this company does. And at the end of it, you're like, well, who the heck was that? I have no idea who that was. Because it didn't paint the picture of this is what we're doing. This is our this is our purpose, and this is the problem we're going to solve for you. It just gave you all the things. Again, you want to be all things to all people all the time, and that's not an effective way to advertise. What's your special offer? I get a lot of times where people will say, well, I have a sale, well then, and then I'm advertising that sale. Well, now I'm bringing my margins even lower. So I'm not going to make any money if I have a sale. It's like, well, you can have a sale without having a sale. What's the lowest at any given time? What's the price point of the most? What's the sweet spot? What's the price of that product that people are going to really convert it to a sale most of the time? And do you have it all the time? So use the phrase starting at. It's the oil change. Then you get them in here and you sell them your filter. So what's your special offer that gets them through the door? What major designation have you achieved that nobody? So I use florology in this sense because, again, with the certifications and the special skills, Tim at Florology has every single tile installation certification known to man. He is very, very professionally fit to install your new bathroom tile or your kitchen tile. And why that's important is that do it once so you don't have to do it again because of mold or water damage issues. So he puts all of the emblems on any messaging or any kind of advertising that they do. Actually, his wife does because Kelly's good at that. But they tout the fact that they are the professional tile installers for good reason because they have these designations. What happens to trigger somebody to make that decision? So you go back to the perfect prospect profile, right? So what happened to Abby? Well, Abby, she's sitting on the couch, doesn't know what to do with life, right? And so this is a life change moment. She has a trigger that she needs to figure out what kind of career she wants to step into. Heidi and Derek, one on the way, little boy running through the room, and this is like, I literally can paint the picture in my head because I've seen the commercial so many times that it's a family who is they're growing, and so they need their home to be bigger. So trigger, life event. And what's a strong offer, sense of urgency? So we talked about this 3 times. Do you think it's a little bit of a big deal? Yeah, a little bit. So make sure it's concise, focused. So this is an example I like to share, and I can't necessarily take it as my own because our colleague Matt brought this up into a sales meeting. I'm like, that is genius. I'm going to use that. So Flex Hose came out with solving your problem. So we all had a hose, garden hose. It'll look like that one. And it did its job. Water came through it, washed the car, watered the flowers, flowers hosed down the kids. It worked. It was functional. But Flex Hose comes out and says, that thing is big and bulky and an eyesore, and nobody should have that on the front of their house. You need Flex Hose. They didn't talk about quality. They didn't talk about price. They solved the problem that you didn't know you had. And how many times a year do you replace your Flex Hose because it breaks? Probably once a year. But they made a killing. Any questions on this? Yes?
Not a question, but we had one response. I asked the group about what's your U.S.P, and someone's talked about what they do best is the response time. So customers call in or the response time is one of their key things.
That's a huge, huge thing. Yeah. Very good. All right, let's bring it to today. So what happens during times when you're not able to operate your business like you usually do? So either you had to go to, so how did you adapt? Maybe you were completely shut down. And I don't want to paint a picture of doomsday, but if we are heading into a direction where you will need to pivot once again from what you're doing right now, having a plan to do so and to continue to have your message and your information out to the public is very, very crucial. How do you do that if you have less of the things that you usually sell and look for? If you're not able to invite people through your doors to sit down and have a meal? How do you speak to your perfect prospect, solving a problem, or communicate with them who you are and what you do? So in the spring, we had a lot of folks come to us and say, well, I can't advertise like I used to. What do I do now? And we consulted. We are marketing consultants, and we do a lot of research, and we take in a lot of education so that we know how to relay this information to you all, for the advertisers and business owners. So community supporting messages went a long way. And I believe that they're going to continue to go a long way. So people who speak from the heart, having yourself on camera, talking to the people who are watching the television and kind of soaking in all this information and speaking to them on how you are still here, what that looks like for them, and how to continue to do business and support local, went a long way in spring. It continues to go a long way in summer, and I believe it's going to carry us through the end of the year as well. So this is just some information about, 74% of U.S. adults 18 plus responded that companies advertising their support community would create a positive feeling and make them more likely to purchase from that company. That's huge. You can't talk about your unique selling proposition. You can't talk about selection. You can't talk about price right now. Business looks different, but what can you do? You can plant seeds for future business. And a community-supported, minded message is very effective. Okay, sorry, got a little serious there, but that's important. All right, so this is the when. And so we're halfway through 2020. Don't give up on 2020. You can still start now with a campaign, but then, September, October, flip it to 2021, print out this annual, or ask us for it and start marketing that, because annualplanswithmom.com. Okay, so look at the annual calendar and plan your marketing according to cash flow, products, services, needs, sales events. So a sales event is something where it's like, okay, I know I'm going to have an influx of this, and I want to bring people through the door to buy this specific thing. Oops, not yet. You look at this, stop it. So you look at this and you say, okay, I can put on a branding message or something, or have a sale without a sale, starting at those types of things any month of the year. But in February, that's boat show season, that's RV season. So we're going to have event sales, talking to people about getting prepared for the spring when it's time to get outdoors again. In June, we're selling lawnmowers. So those are event sales where you kind of boost, I call them super months. So you have your core months or core advertising all year long, and then you have your super months. Now, having an annual schedule doesn't mean you have to be on it every month. Management might get a little mad at us for saying that, but no, you don't have, if in January, nobody's coming in the door, nobody's calling me for this, I'm just gonna, service my customers, and I'm really, it's a really hard time to get new customers. Okay, either put a little tiny bit on, out in your advertising in your budget, or just hiatus that month. But knowing which months out of the year you're gonna advertise and what you're going to advertise and how you're gonna do your marketing is where you need to look at building that annual plan. So what are people on the market for according to the 4 seasons? We live in Wisconsin, we get 4 seasons. Sometimes in winter it feels like there's 2, but we do have 4 seasons. So if you have products and services that talk to that Maybe you've got an Abby, a Derek, and a Heidi, you know, of the different season, different products that you have or services. So speak to them during those months, during those times about that product. Get in front of them when they are in the mindset to engage with you. So this is called staffing the schedule. Talked about months of the year. You can pick out the weeks of the month. You know, auto dealers really like the last 2 to 3 weeks of the month because that's when they know they have the incentives, what they can sell, what's the percentage off or the vehicles they want to get off the lot. And the public has become very, very savvy in knowing that they need to meet some numbers at the end of the month. So that's when they advertise. But now let's talk about days of the week. So if you're a home services product, an appointment scheduling type of business, a consultant, financial advisor, attorneys, anything that you need to make appointments, dentist, any kind of consultation, you're going to want to get in front of that person on Sunday night and Monday, Tuesday, and maybe Wednesday. Because that's when we're in our appointment planning, what are we doing for the rest of the week kind of thing. We've gone through the weekend, we've had our fun, now it's like, all right, we gotta get down to business. I need to make those appointments for my kids. I have to get the HVAC guy here to talk about this. So that's that's the mindset we're in. What about retail? Things to do, events, what's going on the weekend? What am I buying? Where's the event sale? That is an advertiser or retailer that's going to advertise Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday morning. This is very, very good for kind of event sale or driving traffic in a very short period of time. If you are looking just to have some sort of branding message on all the time to be familiar and trusted, it may not matter which days of the week you're on, just as long as you have a good frequency and you're in the right programs at the right time. Or you're choosing, and I'm using television just because that's what I know and I love and I believe in the most, but you can apply these theories to a lot of other mediums. Just be very cognizant of making sure you're answering those questions and applying it to your business and your customer. Any questions on this? Anybody from Zoom land? No? Okay.
Quiet out there.
It is quiet out there. They're sleeping. So the where, traditional or digital? Word of the year is Tradigital. Who's heard it? Somebody in the room has. Right now I'm going to break down the different types of media that you have access to and people have ability to provide for you. So traditional media is going to be your radio, print, outdoor, TV. TV has cable or broadcast, two different animals. And then there's social media. I just put the ones that I know about. I'm sure there's a ton more. You got digital, targeted, email marketing, Google AdWords, geofencing, a lot of things there. And then your website, search engine optimization or SEO, blogging, keywords, all very important things to know about. So traditional media, when you are weighing what you're going to do in the way of traditional media, the things I want you to be very cognizant of are knowing what the cost per 1,000 people reached are in this schedule or in your campaign or your flight. So if you know exactly who you need to target because you've gone through the profile exercise and the person builds out a schedule for you and you say, oh, I'm going to get 170 spots for $500, that looks great. Whereas over here it's like, oh, I'm going to get 40 spots for 600. You're going to say, oh, per spot cost. That's not the right way to look at your advertising. It's cost per 1,000 people reached because the quality of eyeballs matters as far as, because we went through all that extra, you built the message specifically for somebody, so make it count, okay? And then making sure that somebody sees it or hears it enough times for them to be able to do the call to action that you have on there, that they engage with your unique selling proposition is really important so that you're not just kind of throwing it out there and saying, well, let's hope, here's hoping. Hope is not a strategy. So social media, you have likes, followers, and engagement. So how many times have you put something up on your social media feed and you're like, oh my gosh, I had so many likes and so many shares and I'm just so excited about it. And then the next day you put something up and you're like, hello, is anybody out there? why aren't they liking me now? Well, your cat picture was cute, but your information about your business is sitting on deaf ears. They're just not engaging with it. So the quality of your message matters, but also make sure you're measuring your time spent and your money spent in your marketing according to the engagement that you're getting that follows through to a sale. So the engagement and likes and clicks and followers and shares and all of that looks really great on paper or your computer screen. If it's not converting into a sale, what's your return on that investment? And believe me, your time is valuable. So make sure that you're not putting a lot of time, investing a lot of time in something that's not coming to fruition for you on your return on your investment. Okay, sorry, I got a little excited about that. Digital, okay, again, clicks and leads. So digital is very, it's kind of the land of the unknown. A lot of times, again, those reports come out and you say, you know, all of this is going to, you're going to have some pay-per-click, or we can target the perfect person and they're going to engage with it. And there's view through it. So there's a lot of, I call them shiny pennies, because I mean, how many times have you heard geofencing? It was really popular 10 years ago and then now it's coming back because the vendor has the new thing about it. These things can be effective, but they can't stand alone. They cannot stand alone unless you're putting thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in them. And it can get a little scary. So when you're working with somebody in the digital advertising aspect, just make sure that you know them, they know your business, they've gone through these exercises, they've shown you that they are prepared to work for you, and they're not a set and forget it kind of company. But also pair your digital with traditional, because Tradigital is the word of the year, right? Oh, and then if it clicks through to something, please make sure you're going to be generating a lead from that. If it's clicking through to your website or the specific page that you built for that product or service that you're advertising, make sure you're going to capture a lead. And then please contact them back. That's really important. So your website, searchability, ranking, and content. So once upon a time, we used to think, okay, I need 50 pages of all this content. I need to share my life story. No. Simple. Keep it simple. KISS, right? Keep it simple. KISS, what is it?
Stupid.
Stupid. I forgot the stupid part.
What's that called? Irony?
So making sure that the content that you're putting on your website is relevant to the keywords people are searching. And guess what? That changes on a lot. I don't even know if it's daily, weekly, monthly, whatever. Do you have something to share, Todd?
Well, I have a question. So I'm going to throw you a softball here, last one. Of all these things on here, how can this Channel 9, obviously you don't do outdoor billboards, but in terms of social media, digital, what are these things can Channel 9 help a business with?
We can definitely take that word of your traditional and implement it. So we can take television advertising along with our .com advertising. And if you want to get into the digital services of the targeted and the geofencing, search engine optimization, we can do that as well. So, thank you. Making sure that, because if a website is your digital storefront, saying I have a Facebook page and that's my website is not effective. If somebody in your category of business has a nice website, maybe it's only 3 pages, but it's easy to navigate. It shows me exactly what they do. I can contact them easily, and you just have a Facebook page. They're gonna 9 times out of 10 they're going to choose that competitor. So make sure that you are showing up in this space well, but a little KISS is very important. Okay. Theory of the glasses. This is not my theory. We, as a corporation, have a lot of, like I said, training and research that we have provided to us with other consultants, national marketing consultants. And this theory is something that I was taught 10 years ago, and it holds true today and every day. So you have a pitcher of water, and that's your budget. Filled to the top. Here's my budget. You have all of these glasses that you can pour that budget into. And you're going to say, oh, no problem. A little bit here, a little bit here, but hot damn, my marketing is done. But it's not, and it's not done well. If you put just a little tiny bit in every single glass, you are spreading your message so thin that you are not going to get the frequency of the perfect person that's going to do business with you. You want them to see it, hear it, feel it, understand it, do the call to action, engage with you. But they need to hear it and see it more times than just a little tiny bit of water in every one of those glasses. So until your marketing budget expands, your advertising strategy needs to stay very, very consistent and consolidated, focused. Okay. All right. So now I'm a really visual person, and so I just thought we have access to some market research done on a national level, so I wanted to share some of this with you. So the highest reach for ad-supported platforms, television, and you notice they have in the top one is broadcast and cable. Going back to the glasses, if you choose cable for your medium, you don't just have one glass for cable. You have like 100 glasses under there because you need to pick networks within that. So that really spreads it out. So think about that. So broadcast television still pretty much number one. Because if you take cable out, you're just missing 3%. So broadcast TV number one for reach. Email marketing is coming back. So that's interesting. But, I don't believe I haven't worked in the email marketing category yet, but I know that it can do great things. Again, just make sure the person that you're going with, you understand your business and you trust them. Social media, of course, but again, not your end all be all for strategies. And I won't go through each one of these, but okay. People spend the most time. So, folks are like, oh, nobody watches TV anymore. They're Netflix, they're DVRing, they're, well, broadcast TV is still spent 2.5 hours out of the day. And you don't DVR the news. And we're creatures of habit. And if I'm a loyal news watcher, or especially now, and I'm going to get into that right now, but, I want to know what's going on in the world. And I crave news. I mean, I grew up, my kids are growing up now, and so I get more control over the remote, but Mickey Mouse was on a lot 6 years ago, 8 years ago. And I would just say, I just want my GMA. I want my news. I want my Wake Up Wisconsin. I needed to hear about what was going on in the world. People are creatures of habit, and they're still watching broadcast TV and specifically news. Okay, so we're going to bring it to what about now? So what are people doing now? What we found is that, yes, there's always loyal news watchers. What we're finding is that loyal news watcher is watching more frequently. And they're doing it because they trust local, because national has gotten super convoluted. And you're just not sure what to trust and who to trust and what to listen to. But if it's brought to a local level, and you go to your broadcast news station that you know and you trust, and I was always a Wake Up Wisconsin watcher. I was always a morning news watcher, but now I'm tuning into that 10. Or now I'm working from home, and so 11 o'clock. I got news at 11 o'clock now too. So there's more frequency within that loyal viewer. But what they're seeing is that, let's see here, is it on here? There's a younger demo who's tapping into news that like never before. So 18 to 25, there's been a huge influx in those folks watching broadcast news, which is really incredible. I don't think it's on here. I know it's not had on the slide, but what's really, when the pandemic lessens, which we might be I think we had like a month of that. I know I feel like we're going back up. 45% of U.S. adults say that they're going to watch more local news than they did prior to the crisis. I believe that holds true. I really do. Okay, I'm going to go past that. Okay, so let's get to the why. Where am I on time here? Conversions over clicks. We talked about, okay, it looks great on paper, but are you converting the sale? So what's your call to action? Man, beat that horse, I think, instead. How will you measure your return on your investment? When somebody comes to you and says, okay, here's the program, here's the campaign, let's go. Don't get into the set it and forget it. Make sure that you know that my return on investment should be X. I need so many people to call me or to engage with me, my company, my service, in order for me to get a return on this investment. How much, what's your customer acquisition cost? Know all those marketing terms so that you know how to measure how effective your marketing was. And Google Analytics, if you don't know or get to know your Google Analytics, because once you start doing some advertising, there should be a direct reflection in your analytics from your website. Because what are you holding in your hand while you're watching television? And don't say remote. Sarah said it, your phone. So if something strikes my fancy, I'm going to immediately Google that person or that company or that service or that product. And so it can be simultaneous. And so Google Analytics should reflect that. Capture the leads, we talked about that. If you have a website, if you click through, make sure that there's a lead capture, just name and email. That's all you need. People want to share their phone numbers, name and email. Customer service, somebody said that Amazon killed the retail store. I'm kind of feeling like customer service might have. People want to be engaged with on a certain level. You've painted that picture. How do they like to be sold? How do they like to be recruited? Make sure everybody who is working within your business and your company has the same mantra so that the customer service isn't just you, it's everybody who works for you as well. Word of mouth, this is really effective, right? But how can you leverage your word of mouth, your awesome customer service, your passion for your company to the person who doesn't know about you yet? It's your word of mouth. Think about putting your word of mouth on television and sharing that with thousands of people. You just took your word of mouth to the nth degree, right? And close the sale. So we have a colleague that says, I can bring them through your door, but if you want me to sell the truck, I'm gonna need an application. We don't need 100 jobs. We're just gonna get you the traffic. It's your job to do the customer service, close the sale, capture the lead. And then track everything. Captain McCarr says, why the hell are we not tracking conversions? Because that's important too. Make sure that you are measuring everything you're doing so that you know what worked, what fell a little bit, what's a little fuzzy, and then how can we move forward? That's it. I'm done. Any questions?
So your news watchers is a 33-year-old female. Is that an example or is that?
So the female head of household makes a lot of decisions and is a very loyal TV, broadcast TV viewer. So while we have a very good market share on all demos, she's the one that we want to make sure we're speaking to because she applies it to the life a little bit more and is a loyal tune in. Also, on the other side, that's helping our advertisers as well. So the news is not done because it's sharing just because we want to help our advertisers, but it's definitely a core demo for us in the news. We do news on all things that are important, of course, but it's those feature pieces, community involvement pieces, those types of things. Yeah, we talk about that a lot. Yeah. Really.
So for digital on like WAOW.com,
yeah,
and somebody advertises on that, how, I know it's probably specific to the company, but how do a lot of people click through on people's ads if they advertise? I know that's a
yeah,
question.
no, so we have the news app, we have the weather app, and then on our .com, or in all apps and .com, we have pre-roll. So video is so strong. It's really, really strong. So if you can send your message out in 15 seconds, we have something called pre-roll so that the viewer who, I want to know more about that story, and they click on the video, they cannot skip it after 5 seconds. They must watch the entire thing. That's 10 to 15 seconds. So you have a captive audience, and we have the highest click-through rate on that. We also have what's called a mobile interstitial that has been extremely effective for event sales. So to answer your question, yes, there's some very specific, depends on what is your ROI. Where do you want to see it? When do you want to see the conversions come in? What's your expectation of the advertising? And that's what we'll figure out where to place you. But what's really great is that at any moment in time, I can request a report from our digital services peeps, and they'll let us know the engagement on it. Then after that, we're gonna go look at your Google Analytics and we're gonna see the engagement and the time spent and the new visitors and all that, just to see the correlation.
I would think you'd like to add the fact that we have over 1 million visitors
Oh,
on
yes.
average a month.
That's true. Yeah, and we have 35,000 active users on the weather app and 10,000 active devices on the news app. That's another thing. If you're looking at, you know, what's the keyword, if you will, to look at to know how effective that place is. So you could say downloads of an app. But I am a download, I downloaded it, and then 2 days later, my phone crashed over it. So I had to reboot and I had to download it again. I counted as 2 downloads. If you talk about active users, it paints a truer picture of how many people are actually receiving your.
Yeah, I think this, you know, the stats that I like about our, you know, the strength of our website is people that come on it are engaged for a minimum, on average, 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So they're on it, is researching or looking at stories, maybe more than one. They go from a story, then all of a sudden, well, let's check the interactive weather and go to that. Well, there's another opportunity to see another ad.
If you take it to the next level and you go, you know, use that word Tradigital again. If you're on the news program and they always say, you know, go to our website to learn more. And that same person goes and looks at a story and you're in that space as well, you just doubled your frequency on that one person. So loyal TV viewers, loyal.com users, and then you can be in front of them multiple times in 2 different spaces. Yes, Todd?
From our audience online
yay.
on Zoom, first of all, would we be able to share the slide deck with people if they're interested?
Just the handouts that I presented. So the slide deck won't be shared.
Okay,
Just the slide decks.
the handouts.
Just the
Okay.
handouts, yeah.
All right, and then, so this question I think is related to people posting on social media and how things are changing and, you know, face masks and all these different things. So the question is, if we have too many unknowns now, should we stop sharing? If we continue to give too many updates that keep changing, are we starting to look at as liars, or, you know, they don't know what they're doing because things are changing so quickly? How do you handle that?
So I'm not going to claim to be a social media expert, but I'm going to talk from a user standpoint and a little bit of knowing businesses. Updating the status of how you're doing business today is never a bad idea. So in doing Facebook Lives, if you're comfortable, are very, very strategic. If you can speak from the heart and share your message in a Facebook Live, talking about how things are working for you and how you can service and continue to provide for your customers, is a very good way to get your message out there. Continually posting inconsistent messages because you're just not really sure is a bad idea. So get a plan set as far as, you know, what's the content you really want to share with somebody, and if you can do that with a video on your social, I think it goes a lot further. I don't know if that answers the question, but just being honest is truly a great policy in how you're doing business right now. How can you continue to serve?
Maybe I can help.
Yeah.
I work for the Wisconsin Beam Council as well too.
Okay.
So just being flexible. I know with everything since starting in March, we had to be flexible with our posts. So not pushing people to buy certain cuts of meat, just offering more at-home recipes, not making sure we're not telling people to stock up on certain things. So we had to be real flexible, and we also had to be flexible on our United We State campaign, which was supposed to start in June. Because of the riots, we had to push it back in July, just because of the environment. So we had to be really flexible with how and what we were posting according to the environment. So I know it's not a great answer, but if you can be flexible.
Well, I think people understand too this. the environment we're in and that things are changing, so a little bit more, again, as long as you're being transparent
Mhm.
and honest about it and, hey, this happened, we didn't expect it, and this is what we're doing it now, I think, let people know, you know, that the honesty part really helps out.
Something else that we've done is a yes, we're open video. So if we provided this to our advertisers that you can do like a selfie video that you would usually do on Facebook. We're going to put it into a yes, we're open template. And you can tell people, you know, for updates and information, please like our Facebook page because we're constantly sharing how we're doing business right now and what that looks like. But you know, commercial production is also something that we do, but if it's video production, so we can help you out with that too if you want a little bit more professional feel. And to get that community message out there, you can use what we do if you're going to put it on television as well as on your social. We'll give you that access to that. Anything else? I'm good? All right.
Oh, good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you everybody for attending. Our next business exchange is scheduled for August 11th, and it will be on critical thinking. So we have the university coming in, critical thinking in the workplace. So watch for more information to come. Again, that is on August 11th.
It's on Tuesday.
It is a Tuesday, thank you, Sarah. Typically, our business exchanges are on Wednesday, but this particular event will be on Tuesday, August 11th. Same time.
Do you know if there will be an in-person or just Zoom or?